Good morning. Welcome back to Gamer Penrose, Werewolf the Forsaken Chronicle, Blood in the Soil. We are on episode 11. We have come off of a big raid-style boss fight, and now we're going to dive into some horror and internal drama and infections. Not that we know anything about that in the world right now. But before we get started, I'll go ahead and let people introduce themselves. To the left on my screen, John, who are you and what are you doing here and who are you playing? How'd you get in my house?
My name's John. I am here to play some werewolf game.
Hey.
I am playing James Larson. He is in Raka Iron Master, and I know the password to your front door, so that's how I got in your house.
Damn it. That's true. Okay. Jeremy, who are you and what are you playing or who are you playing?
I'm Jeremy, and I'm playing the recently infected Rahu Bone Talon, or Blood Talon called Spooky. And guest starring today, the lower half of my face.
Nice. Hey, Dennis, who are you and who are you playing?
Hey, I'm Dennis. I play Jim Masters. I am a Cahalith Bone Shadow, and I'm supposed to do bard things, but mostly I don't.
There. And finally, Ender, who are you and who are you playing?
I'm Ender Astreus. I am playing this guy named Uncle Ben, who's supposed to be the cat herder of these schmucks. And I am a Eladoth Hunter in Darkness.
Wonderful. Okay. Okay, we because this is recorded and streamed, I will point out that content we avoid here, based on feedback from players, we will not do detailed damage to fingernails or eyeballs, and we will not do graphic depictions of sexual scenes. Other than that, we will do terrible things to everyone that doesn't involve those things in detail. Okay, cool. So where we pick up is the packs that had gone in to fight this terrible wolf hydra spirit monster shifter from before shifters. They have made it back successfully into the physical thanks to a portal that's being kept open by its dead head. So you go back into the club, and as you're going back in the club, Uncle Ben and Spooky, and anyone else, but Uncle Ben and Spooky specifically, when you go to shift out of the forms you're in during this bloody battle, you notice that you cannot shift all the way back to normal human. And Spooky wouldn't go for normal human, but you feel in your soul that that's not an option. When you pull up the transformation wheel above your character's head, that option is X'd out. Something in your shifter genetics has removed it. And in the process, your subconscious met with your shifter DNA, and Spooky, you find that your sense of smell has drastically increased. Now, because of the fetish you have, not a lot of people are paying attention to you, but you certainly notice that your nostrils transform into something almost like Zubatish. And you notice that you're picking up every single scent everywhere. Mechanically, you have a +2 on any check that involves your sense of smell, but you run the risk of overwhelming your sense of smell if you get an exceptional. So, Uncle Ben, on the other hand, he's looking at how injured Spooky is, and the fact that some people got infected, and you don't really know like the other pack that went in there with you, Father's Memory, but several of their members seem to be bending over as if they're ill. Spooky and Uncle Ben also notice you are feeling ill. So whatever bug you guys caught, some of their pack also caught. Uncle Ben, you were thinking that maybe if your shot with your bow would have been truer, you could have got this fight done faster, and then this infection wouldn't have spread. And Spooky, your pack's greatest warrior guy, wouldn't have taken so much damage. And in this frustration, you feel your brain get clouded. That sort of clouded when you're at your drinking limit and then you have another drink. The point where you're smooth, the nerves are there, and now the clouds entered your brain. And you just feel that kind of come in, but you also feel somehow more dexterous as a permanent dot of intelligence shifts over to dexterity. Yes, go in. The pack, this conversation is over, is waiting for you. They're covered in blood. They've got their weapons drawn. They're ready to go through the portal as you guys are coming out. Even though it was a massive fight, it's always important to remember that combat rounds are only 3 to 5 seconds. So you guys went in and almost killed that thing's body in like 9 seconds. Go werewolf fighters. And so they're like, okay, whoa, oh, you guys made it. And they're looking, and they look past your pack as your pack's entering this crowded hall and then kind of working your way into the dining area, which is a slaughter, because their goal was kill all the people and then come help you. So they have not started cleanup yet. And they look past you, and you see this like shocked look on their faces as they look at Father's memory. When some of you inevitably look back at Father's memory, you see that one of the pack members of Father's memory is growing a third arm. Its muscles currently aren't very well defined. It's very weak, not at a comical Deadpool level, but it does look like William Barton in Resident Evil when he's got like the little normal human arm next to the beefy muscle werewolf arm. And so they're growing a third arm that like is growing in front of your eyes. Like you hear the pop snap of its joints trying to straighten out fingers. And they're like, and everyone like this dude's pack, like they make a protective circle around him in case you guys confuse him for a monster, but they also do like social distancing against him in case it's contagious. And nobody seems to be paying attention to your pack very much. What do you guys do? There's a giant dead head that's keeping a portal to the gauntlet open. There is a restaurant full of dead rich people and unfortunate servants they had to go to. And you guys are infected, but those people seem more infected.
I think we need to.
Can I think of a? I actually disagree. Can I think of a reason that it would be a problem to move all the dead bodies into the gauntlet?
I'll give you an occult check just because checks are how you can generate beats if you suck at them. Yeah, do an occult check.
Okay. Six successes. I will take informed about the gauntlet, I guess.
Sure. Well, you initially you're like, well, if I toss a whole bunch of fresh dead bodies in there, on the off chance there's anything in the gauntlet that eats dead bodies, it would attract them. And then you're like, oh, well, I know the big thing that's traveling from the west to the east that we've been keeping an eye on eats recently living things, and it's not super far away from here. So you think that there's a off chance, not a guarantee, because like no matter how good it's whatever it uses to detect crap, you didn't see a nose on it. You're not sure how good that is, but there's an off chance it would smell a pile of freshly dead human meat and then come to the gauntlet side of here.
Do we think it's in the neighborhood right now?
The last record had it about 45 minutes to an hour west of here. And that was a day or two ago. It could be in the neighborhood right now. It all depends on what direction it was traveling from there.
Yeah, let's just initiate the final fight right now, guys.
Yeah, we're fresh, right?
Yeah. What's the worst that could happen?
We all die in a blaze of glory.
I don't know if that would be necessarily the worst.
We all die tripping just before the big fight.
That would be definitely worse.
That would be worse. Hey, sometimes characters go off on their own away from their packs or coteries and then just get killed by nuns. So there are worse ways to go.
I will relay that thought to the rest of the packs that the portal could potentially be a good way to dispose of the bodies discreetly. At the same time, it may also draw the giant creature moving eastward that feeds on carnage and lives in the gauntlet. Which is coming this way anyway, so this might be a good place to control what part of the city it goes through for keeping that discreet, but no guarantees.
Father's the one member of Father's Memory that's not freaking out over the weird third arm that their packmate has is like, okay, give me a second. And they place a phone call. You hear them talking to a member of the 801 pack, and they talk, and the Father's Memory pack member hangs up and goes, okay, they're going to spin news stories and such that there's like some structural, because of like a gas explosion, this building is not structurally sound, and like since this is the place that you're supposed to come and check in for your tea time, they're going to pull strings to basically get this golf course closed for a couple weeks. So if we do want to do that, even if we don't necessarily want to use it as a way to fight the big thing coming from the west, it shouldn't be here at the same time as people.
How does that work with the bodies then? Because wouldn't you still need some bodies present for to sell the structural integrity, and that having been a problem, gas explosion?
They gesture to like the gore, and they're like, yeah, we could take some of like the smaller parts, like limbs and gore, and we can we've got some friends at the morgue. We can make sure that stuff gets there. We have some friends at emergency response teams that can be like, yeah, I totally showed up to respond to the gas explosion. Fortunately, there was only like a handful of people in the immediate vicinity. We're still looking for the bodies of the others. We can make it work, unless going with what you're saying, unless we want to just go ahead and collapse the building and have it fall on the bodies. And they say that because they also noticed that like the integrity of this building, and even though the head is dead, the integrity of the building has not healed. Everything immediately around that neck and head is like soft, like walking on that soft fake stone that lots of like children's playgrounds have. That's what it feels like walking on the floor here. So you feel with your various werewolf strengths, you could just kind of shove walls down and then shout timber and like run away.
Have any of the human bodies started to show the same kind of mutations that the one did?
Very, very minor. They were killed before anything could happen, but yes. I'll give you without a check. Yes, they, like you see, some have strange cancerous welts, like already appearing on the outside of their body where some sort of cellular mutation was trying to happen. Some that have been torn open, they appear to have too many bones. Like they've got like rib cages that go all the way from like here all the way down to like the pelvic bone, creating almost a snake effect. Or they have they've started to grow like a second spine and it doesn't really lead anywhere.
So at minimum, some of these are a threat to the herd not knowing. Those need to be deposited in the gauntlet.
Okay, cool. If people want to give me their choice of a sight-based perception check, a smell-based perception check, or a medical check,
I
we
can
can
do
make
all
sure
of
that
those.
we can make sure that you guys identify all of the veil-threatening bodies.
One success.
Okay.
I will shift to a form I'm good at this in.
Spookies and Big Wolf at the moment, and 5 successes.
3.
Okay.
I got none, and I'm taking a beat.
Okay, that's fine.
Can I take Informed on just like these mutations?
Sure. That's fair. Okay, yep, you take a beat. Fortunately, the rest of your pack got successes. So everything will be found. But like James, you guys, it's up to you if you want to bother pointing this out to him. But James grabs somebody that just has like a really hairy mole. Like it's an older fella. They just got like a really hairy mole.
It's like, oh, that's gross. Throw him in the portal.
Clearly, this must be some eldritch horror.
And the three of you just look at it and you're like, oh. But yeah, so James totally is going to toss a perfectly fine dead body into the portal. It's not going to affect the story. There's still enough perfectly fine dead bodies to make the story work. But yeah, you guys managed to toss all the like beginning to get mutated bodies through the portal. At this point, Father's memory is like making phone calls to have like one of their wolf-blooded packmates bring a van so that they can sneak their clearly mutated friend back to the gathering place at Browns Woods. This conversation is over. Has grabbed like swords, and the ones that don't have swords have grabbed large knives out of the kitchen and are looking at the big snake wolf head and going, is anyone going to stop us from chopping this up and then tossing it through the portal so the portal closes?
I'd like a sample.
Okay, that's fine.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. I wonder if those teeth might be helpful for us.
Oh.
I don't think
like,
this
they
thing
won't
is
stop you.
a moral saint for further bone usage.
Yeah, they won't. This conversation's over. Is just trying to get that portal closed. They will not stop you at all from taking anything you want. This thing has large scales up and down its neck that you think some crafter could use to make something into armor. It has really big teeth. Its mouth is less dragon, much more wolf. So you're dealing with canine teeth that are like as long as like your forearm. So big old teeth. Its eyes are.
I kind of want to make a weapon out of it.
You totally could. Yeah. So you guys just, I'll let you make notes on your sheet of what you take. If for some reason you guys want to take more than 2 eyes, then you've got to have a conversation. But I'm not going to count how many teeth it has. You can take any part of it you want. And so, yeah. This conversation is over. Lets you guys know, like, you guys may want to go with Father's memory back to the meeting place. This is gonna take like a couple hours to completely sushi this thing.
Do you guys know any good places around Des Moines to gather occult knowledge? Because I'd kind of like to do something about that arm and that our other packmate.
Because I'm not feeling the greatest.
This conversation is over. Is from Nebraska. They're like, yeah, not in Des Moines, but Omaha and Lincoln are kind of in sister city relationships. The Forsaken mostly control Lincoln, and the will workers mostly control Omaha. And we go into each other's territory to trade things, to deal with problems that the other group's better at. I mean, I know it's way out of your way. You guys are from a farm on the opposite side of the state, but I could try to get you an audience with the will workers there, or if you're okay owing them something, I can get them to go make a trip out to you.
I will keep that offer in my back pocket for now, if you don't mind. I'm going to do some research while I'm here in Des Moines and see if I can find something. But that's a good option to know.
This conversation is over. We'll toss you contact info. So if you want to reach out to them after you leave Des Moines. Cool. Yeah, if you reach out to, because you've got contact info for 801 Pack, if you reach out to them and ask about local occult, they'll say that, yeah, there are some of the undead that claim control over the old, like the old Knights Templar building, or the old Freemason building outside of downtown. I'm sorry, the Scottish Rites building. All these not secret societies blurred together. But the old Scottish Rites building, just outside of downtown, there's a group of the vampires that are very scientifically occult-minded. They seem to be the ones most concerned about the state of supernatural beings and places of power and ley lines, and yeah, they're the best ones we know about. I'm sure there has to be more occult-minded people around here, but yeah. Okay. So where does the pack go? The pack's not required to go back to the meeting place at Browns Woods. The pack can.
If Jim wants to help them with figuring out things, we should go back to the meeting point.
Okay.
I was just going to go introduce myself to the Ordell, but
I mean, you could also do that during that time period. Perhaps propose that as something that we can do in order to get more knowledge and information.
Okay.
But in character,
character.
I think we should go back and coordinate. I'm not feeling the greatest. I'm not really sure, but I'm in. Was it Dalu, the near human
Yeah.
form right now?
You have not shifted out of near human since the fight was over.
Yeah. Because I dropped from Garu to Dalu. I can't look normal right now.
Oh, that's a problem.
So I think going back to the meeting point is probably a good idea. I think.
Also, 7 heads left.
Yep.
Right.
Anyone who wants to can make an occult check, just to try to calculate how long do you think it will take for it to recover the damage that was done. Just so you know, on the off chance you do want to try to, no, David, we are dodging all other plots. We're hunting this thing until it's dead.
I'm going to take my beat because I got no successes out of my roll of a 2.
Okay.
5. I'll take informed about
right.
this.
Cool. So Uncle Ben right now is pretty sure that if nothing else, you don't want to go fight it again soon, because from what you saw in Hercules, it probably has 2 heads where that stump was. So Jim thinks, based on what little you've been able to pick up on the interactions with this creature, that it's not regenerating at the rate of a normal shifter. And it seems to be regenerating similar to either a living flesh thing or a spirit. If it's a living flesh thing, it might never regenerate the head. If it's a spirit, it's going to regenerate that head at a corpus a day. And the head will not be functional at all until it fully heals. So if it heals like a human, you have permanently wounded. If it heals like a spirit, you have wounded it for a month or 2. But yeah, so that's something to keep in your back pocket in case you decide in a week or 2, once you guys are healed up, that you want to go try to hunt the thing down.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys have no problem getting back to the meeting location in Browns Woods. The pack that was monitoring the governor also makes it back to that meeting point. Question: what did you guys do with the body of the governor's husband?
I don't remember.
No, we had one of the packs stayed behind to deal with that.
You did. Cool. Okay, so
they were working on cleanup.
Yes. That's right. That pack is also at the meeting place with the body of the governor's remains broken into many pieces inside a body bag. And
like the one we found him in?
No, you found him in a burlap sack.
Okay. That's
fair. And the pack that was watching the governor said that she's probably made it home by now. The group that was doing cleanup said she's not going to find any blood. She's not going to find any of that. She's not going to find any sign of a fight because the fight was over within seconds. But I mean, her husband's going to be missing. But counterpoint, she has to have known that her husband was turning into some mutant monster thing. So personally, if I was the governor at this point, I'm probably calling trusted police on the down low to go find her husband on the off chance he's rampaging through the streets. And if she doesn't find him, I would expect in a couple of weeks some story about how her husband died of a heart attack or some random old age thing.
Do we need to hunt her?
They said that the pack that was watching her said they used all gifts that they have available that have to do with gathering information and stuff, and seeing past deception, seeing things true appearance. She seems to still be normal human. And what we picked up is that something was manipulating using her. Almost like her thoughts were clouded by some sort of will or mind control ability. Which, if that's the Hydra, and you guys have injured the Hydra so badly it ran away to wherever its deep layer is to lick its wounds, in theory, the mind control should just shake itself off after a certain duration. So what we can do, the pack that was watching her, is we can just make it our duty, on top of patrolling our specific territory, to also always have like 2 people watching her for the next month, and just see if she gets visited by one of the Hydra's heads again, or see if she starts acting weird.
I can keep an eye on her.
Sure.
Yeah. So that one pack, their job is going to be to, and I'll make a note of that. That pack will be watching the governor. That was the, let's see, Two Rivers pack. Okay, cool. The vampire that is a member of the 801 pack has been on the phone since you guys got back. And he finally, after you guys like have had the conversation of who's gonna watch the governor and yada yada, finally gets off the phone and looks at the guy with the third arm, looks at your packmate, like where he can see through torn clothes that she has like mutated skin, and goes, okay, my sire and my sire's partner in crime are heading here as fast as they can. They're gonna see what they can do to help you guys. I'm not at all as knowledgeable about this stuff as them. So, and then he goes and starts making more phone calls.
All right, then. So, what do we do in the meantime?
801, the whole 801 pack is making a bunch of phone calls. They're assuring everybody that that the building, after this conversation is over, is done shoving the head back in the portal, and are confident that portal closes automatically when the head's not blocking it. They are going to shove over all the soft walls. And before they leave, they're going to just cause a gas explosion. And yes, it will be noticeable to a fire inspector, but we've already called the fire inspector and called in a favor. It'll be fine. It will get signed off as an accidental gas explosion. And with the fact that, from what the reports we're getting from you guys and the pack that's still there, the walls can literally just get pushed over. Anybody who ever visits the wreckage is going to think the building fell over and then blew up, or blew up and fell over. So yeah, and it was a tragic loss that the local Conservative Party lost. Tragic. Lost so many donors. But yeah. So that part's taken care of. That cleanup's fine. There's a couple of characters that seem to be a bit more occult-minded, not as far as the mutations, but on trying to figure out like where this thing would have gone. They actually talked with you, Jim, since you seem to be the one answering a lot of the questions about the occult from your pack. They will give you +4 dice on an occult check if you want to make a check to try to figure out how, based on like what limited you know about this thing, where it could have gone.
Let's see. And I'll find a map for an equipment bonus.
Go ahead and have +2.
And let's put on that.
Uncle Ben's been eaten by the void.
There's another thing to add to our checklist, I guess. We have to
Save Uncle Ben.
destroy the void.
Informed the location, 10 successes.
Sure. My God. Okay. So, okay. You think, based on like the data that they're able to share with you, you think this body has to stay within 100 miles of where it has its head appear. And so you think that the maximum distance it could travel in one, like, I'm getting the hell out of here burst is within a 100-mile radius. And so you're able to let the Des Moines people know, like, it's this circle here. And that's assuming that it doesn't, like, keep running because it doesn't want to lose another head. So you're able to narrow down for them that.
I will do so.
Okay. So as you guys are sitting here going, okay, so what do we do next? The air in the back of this lodge ripples a bit, not unlike somebody crossing over, but then it does something very not like somebody crossing over and actually seems to like tear. The vampire that's with the other one says, this should be my sire and his partner. And what would be best described as like a man in black, but with pale, the pale skin of a vampire, comes stepping through. Behind him, dressed, looking a lot like Scully to the vampire's Mulder, wearing the more tans, the more, I'm not a freaky government spy person, I'm just an FBI agent doing a job, steps a red-headed woman in her mid-30s. And she turns behind her and like just kind of like presses her finger down reality, and the portal closes up.
This looked like what Fisher did?
Similar, very similar. But what Fisher was doing was opening a gateway specifically into the spirit realm. And Fisher's modus apparatus is very different than this woman's. So similar but different.
Fair.
The vampire quickly walks away from his pack and walks up to the new vampire and goes, "Thank you for coming, sire. The most obvious infected is over there," and gestures to the three-armed man, who at this point, his third arm has actually started gaining muscle definition. So probably by the end of the night, it would be a fully functional strong arm. So yeah, so the two of them walk over to that individual, start checking it out. A lot of.
I can
And,
try ripping it
Jim-
off and see if it heals.
Jim, you are pretty sure, based on everything, that these are the two people you saw in the one vision.
I am, yes.
Second. Okay. After looking at the thing for a bit, after hearing your comment to rip it off and see if it heals, the woman looks at you, Spooky. Well, no, you were in wolf form speaking first tongue, so the woman does not look at you. The one that with the third arm looks at you, Spooky, and is like, "We could try that."
I wouldn't ask anything I wouldn't do to myself.
That's true.
That's very
That's-
true.
That's so very true.
Disturbingly, unfortunately true.
So, if you want me to give a yank, just give me the word.
So the Invictus and the FBI lady look at each other, look at the thing, and the woman looks around at everybody, says, "If I could have everybody's attention. I am Agent. Let's see, what's a good name? Not Smith. Let's say Agent Graham. There you go. Agent Graham. I have been recently following a case of a veil-threatening abomination traveling between worlds, heading in this direction. But it looks like Des Moines has a different and potentially worse issue now. Who here, after interacting with this Hydra creature, is feeling under the weather?
Raises paw.
Okay. And Sarah's character also raised her hand. He goes, "Hey, I have good news and I have not as good news. The good news, I know what's wrong with you. Not so good news, I am not part of a group that can do anything about it. The hopeful news, I know people I can call who can do something about it.
The catch.
They are, well, I am more of a secular person myself. They are a little fanatical in their devotion to removing these sicknesses. So while they can do it, I will have to talk them off the ledge so that their cure is not worse than the disease. What I can use from all of you that are feeling sick, what I would prefer, you're probably not willing to do. And that is that you quarantine yourself somewhere and don't leave. Probably not willing to do that.
That sounds
So what I would
awful.
ask, yeah, awful. We would all hate that. So the next best thing, give my partner here or myself a way to find you, minimize your interaction with others, do not damage anything with your various natural weapons. Do not bite things with your teeth. Do not tear into things with your claws. You will spread the infection.
Sad dog noise.
So you said you knew what this was. What is this?
Their reality is sick. Reality has an infection, and this infection manifests in many different strains. The thing that you fought has what we believe is one of the oldest strains. And overall, we call this infection the contagion. I'm part of a partnership of groups that are trying to fight it. It is, dare I say, a cosmic scale threat, something that I by no means expect anyone here to concern themselves with outside of the realm that they are infected. Once you are cured, you are absolutely welcome to go about your lives. But just know that some of the strange things or news articles that you hear about that don't seem to add up, sometimes it is an abomination traveling through the walls between the realms. Sometimes it is reality itself going through the convulsions of a dire illness.
Confused dog noise.
Ben is nodding as if he understands. He does not understand.
Yeah. Right?
Fortunately, things are not clicking right now.
Mm-hmm. But yes, as I said, nothing you have to worry about once we cure you. What we need from you now is ways to contact you so that once the people that can cure you can make it here, they can go cure you. And we need you to try very hard to not take any actions while you are infected that might lead the people that are going to cure you to think that you are beyond help. I know that among the other enhanced beings of the world, there is a tendency to lose one's control. Please do not give my colleagues a reason to say he lost control while he had a third arm. It was clearly the arm's doing, because then they will probably joyfully try to kill you. And we don't want that. You clearly are all trying to fight the fight of the heroes. We want you to keep fighting that. And we don't want our friends being killed by you while you're defending yourself. Any other questions before my partner and I go and continue to track said abomination that lives between the worlds? Yes, sir.
We have been monitoring what is going on and kind of know where it's going.
Very good. Where's it going?
I out of character. If Sarah was here, we'd have her just do all that.
She'll walk forward. She'll point out. And then, does anybody point out that you guys tossed like in bodies? Okay. Yep. Okay. Good.
We would be glad to continue to help.
Yes, that would be very helpful. We will keep preemptively, now that I think we have, thanks to your information and thanks to what we already know, we kind of know the path it's going, at least for now. We can preemptively keep the masquerade, gestures to the vampires, the veil, everything's secret. We keep things clean preemptively. So yes, thank you very much for this. Yeah, and she looks at the other vampire and goes, "We should probably go over that clubhouse, make sure that it looks proper, destroyed, and make sure that when if the big thing arrives, that it doesn't somehow make things worse." And the vampire nods. And the woman Agent Graham looks around. "Any more questions?" "No?"
Do you know about how long it will be before the people who can cure us show up?
It depends on how busy they are. They are, last time I checked, dealing with some issues at an Antarctic research base. So,
More confused dog noise.
thanks to abilities such as what I have been gifted with, and hell, planes. Assuming they wrap that up in a timely manner, they could be up within the next week. So hold tight. Everyone that raised their hands seems to be in the earliest stages of this infection. You all are a hardy lot. You should be fine for a week.
Roll me a stamina check.
Right?
Gonna transform into the final boss fight for season 2.
Right. So, with that, her and the other vampire begin to head back towards the back end of the lodge. She puts her finger, like she's got like nails, like red nails, and puts her finger in the air and just like tears a hole in it. Waits for her partner to step through, turns around and says, "I thank all of you for your service to humanity." And she steps through this portal, and then it closes itself.
Did a will worker and a vampire thank us for our service to humanity?
Yep. All right.
It's been a weird day.
Yeah. Jim, make sure people have your contact information so they can find us. Spooky, myself, and let's just not bite things or claw things anytime soon. That's Chloe. Yes. None of us. No. And let's get out of here.
We need
to go home.
A sword or something then.
Okay.
Yeah.
This conversation is over, shows up around this point. And they get filled in on everything. And one of them will give you a sword, Spooky. There's nothing like magical about it, but it is well crafted. It's functioning sword.
For the moment, Spooky will be carrying it like Arturius' dog.
Also, Jim, did you want to go and introduce yourself to some other occult individuals before we left for research purposes?
Yeah, let's see if we can get our own information in case the people who are supposed to cure you are delayed, and see if we can find anything on our own that might slow it or cure it. Worst case, the effort's wasted. Best case, we can get to it before they do. Won't know until we look.
Right. I would suggest a introduction by way of 801's friend here.
Yeah. So you ask the Invictus to introduce you to the Ordo.
I will ask them how would I go about being introduced to the people who have the occult knowledge who I'm told are vampires at this building.
Yes. All right. Well, normally you would owe me a favor, but since I'm part of the Des Moines Pack and you've already come and helped us out, I'm willing to waive that this time. I just call them and see if one of their members is available to meet. And then we just see what happens. Yes, are you guys looking to head back to your farm ASAP? Are you wanting to meet tonight? Are you willing to stay in Des Moines for a day?
I am. I can find my way back to the farm later if other people need to go isolate.
Okay, good. Okay, so he like makes a phone call. It's like, yep, okay, yeah. Goes, they are willing to meet you in the Capitol Hill, a few blocks away from their building. They will be studying the constellations. And it's a nice outside place for you to meet them without you having to go into their. And he does a forced sigh, secret hideout. You get the feeling that he doesn't have a whole bunch of respect for this group, but he goes, yeah, they'll be expecting you. Swing by any time between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. They'll be out there studying constellations.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. As for all the other Des Moines packs, they let you and the other visiting pack know we owe you. Our society doesn't have some formalized currency, but we're all cousins in the same duty to the spirit and the physical realm. So if any of you need help from us, like for instance, it sounds like the big thing that's coming is going to have a snack and then probably pass Des Moines by. So if that hits your guys' farm or is approaching your farm, call on the Des Moines packs and we will send people to come help you.
Consider it a high potential.
All right. We will try to heal up our wounds and then wait for a phone call. So, okay. So does everyone else go back to the farm and Jim stays for a day?
I'm not gonna let Jim be on his own with vampires.
Okay. So everyone stays for the day?
Yeah, I think we're gonna all stay.
We're gonna. It's a terrible idea, and if I was a smarter person at this point, I might say that Spooky, Chloe, and I need to go, and at least James and Jim need to hang out together. But
Spooky has a sword now. He's
I am
fine.
going to wherever we go. I'm going to try and make sure that we are not seen by people as much as possible. I don't know if there's a check I need to make for that, or.
Okay.
I'm going to wear a hoodie.
You need. Okay, so you've got the gift where you get to give your stealth to the pack. Is that just an always active gift once you buy it?
No, I have to spend for it. So everybody would roll, and then if you fail, I can spend essence to basically make your failure a success.
Okay. So as far as where you go that night before meeting with the vampires, all of the visiting packs were given like a camp lodge that they could stay at, like within walking distance of where everybody's meeting. as far as during the day, it's just an issue of where Spooky and Uncle Ben want to go during the day.
Well, shouldn't really need to go much of anywhere at this point during the day, so we can just hang out at the place.
All right.
Yeah,
Spooky will shift near man. Do I need to make another check?
yeah.
Unfortunately.
Spooky will do what?
Shift to near man. Do I need to make another check?
You do. You have to make a resolve plus stamina at a -5.
Don't fail.
Or do whatever.
Believe it or not, it is very easy to fail chance dice.
Okay, so you failed?
I fail.
Okay. So, no. Okay. You shift to near man, but a couple things happen as you're shifting to near man. You feel thoughts that aren't your own, like the primal instinct inside you talking to you from eons past, saying you are too dependent on your war form and it has made you weak. And you find that your Gauru form is no longer in your mind.
Oh no.
But then your body seems to reject this idea. And your body screams that you need a weapon. You need to be able to rip and tear. It is what you do. And you do shift to near man, but your jaw pops and cracks, and the skin on the side of your mouth tears open as you have this massive maw. You are able to bite in any form now without grappling, and you have +2 on the check to bite. But you have this massive open mouth.
Got a toothy Glasgow grin.
Yes.
So about that mascot costume we were talking about.
So yeah, Spooky's got the death mask, so he can use that to remain inconspicuous, which is why he needed to shift again, because inconspicuous wolf is still a wolf.
Right. Other than that, the day goes uneventful.
It is hard for a wolf to whistle their nonchalance.
Lacking lips and all that jazz.
Right. Okay, so the night comes. You guys have a car you took here.
Yep.
There's a parking lot right next, or not, it's not next to, but there's a place that you can park pretty close to Capitol Hill. You can see about 10 individuals that have set up telescopes, and it's a mostly clear sky, and they're looking through telescopes, and then they've got like reams of paper and they're taking notes. Anybody from a distance would think they are just like junior astronomers checking out the stars. So you don't think you need to make any sort of stealth check to go from there to there, but you can if you want, if you're trying to like be super unnoticed as you go from your car to sneak up on the science vampires.
I'm not planning to, no.
Okay.
Trying to sneak up on them may be interpreted the wrong way if I fail.
It's fair. Okay, so you come on up. The ones that don't currently have their eye on a telescope notice you when you're about halfway up to them. A woman seems to be in her early 20s, like college age, and you can smell, especially Spooky, that she is alive. She walks forward and goes, "Welcome. My professors are busy at this exact moment, but I just wanted to let you know that we were expecting you, and I am their student teacher assistant, and I am happy to help in any way I can." She gestures to the stone building that's about a block away and goes, "I can run back there. We have a well-stocked fridge if you guys are hungry or thirsty. Anything I can get you."
No thanks. We're looking for information, actually.
Oh,
And
well, the professors will certainly be able to provide that.
will they be available this evening?
She looks at them, goes, "Soon."
Okay.
And she just kind of stares at you guys awkwardly, like for like 5-10 minutes. And then a man that meets the perfect definition of old white professor. Like you're not sure if you're looking at a ex-presidential candidate from Vermont or professor of history 301 from a college. He's got the wild hair. This one does not smell alive.
Is he wearing tweed?
He is. Yeah. Though, for all intents purposes, he looks alive. You see his chest rising and falling as he breathes, but you can just, he's dead. He's a dead thing. He comes on over and he goes, "Oh, so sorry. I was busy studying the constellations. They're very beautiful tonight." And goes forward, says, "My name is Professor O'Brien. How can I help you, you gentlemen?" And looks over upstairs and lady.
Oh, we were, in a word that I overheard recently, looking to keep the masquerade intact, and we're hoping you had information that could help us do that.
Well, of course, we all want that. What is the specific threat that we are protecting it from?
They called it a contagion that makes things mutate into horrible, horrible monsters that then mutate other things into horrible, horrible monsters. Sometimes after stabbing you with their 6 arms.
He thinks, "Yeah, that is terrible. I have heard talks of this contagion. I take it some of you have encountered it. You're currently wearing your death mask, so
Spooky will dramatically remove the death mask and give him a toothy grin.
Oh my!
The 6 arms was not hypothetical. No.
Oh dear. Okay. Very well then.
3 of us have been afflicted in some way.
Yes.
In our pack alone, there are other groups of us that have also been afflicted.
Oh. Well, let me go consult with my colleagues. Moment, please. And he walks over and leans in. Anyone who wants to can make a hearing-based perception check to kind of just overhear what they're talking about.
4 successes.
2 successes.
Also 4 successes.
Okay.
A success.
All right. Jim and Uncle Ben, and Spooky and James, will hear them upon Professor O'Brien mentioning the contagion. Hear about an equal aha moment and an equal what's that moment. About half of the people gathered have not heard of that, and about half have. The ones that have start asking, okay, how can we help them? What books do we have on the subject that we'd be willing to lend out? Blah 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 blah. Spooky and James hear the individual that the entire time that conversation's going on keeps her eye on a telescope mutter to herself. Even some of her colleagues next to her don't seem to respond to this. Another one has gone black. And then she pulls away and makes some notes in her notebook. So after their huddle, Professor O'Brien comes back over to you guys and says, we certainly are aware of this. We have some text we can lend on it. We have not yet had to cure anybody of it. This is the first time we have heard of it being in Des Moines. I am sure our friend that gave us a call is already aware of this and is working with others of your kind to identify any other possible spreads before this becomes an outbreak.
Yes.
He says in yes, okay. Good. Then in that case, we could be convinced to lend out some tomes so you could do some studying. We would ask that you be respectful of the tomes as you would your own property, and that in the future, if we have a question about something that fits more into your wheelhouse, the spirit realm or the realm of the shifters, that you be willing to lend your knowledge on that subject to us.
Fair is fair.
Excellent. He looks to the teaching assistant and tells her the Dewey Decimal System number that he has memorized for a couple books. He's like, okay, you're going to be looking for this volume. It's going to be found at 526.7 aisle 2. And he's like, and you can tell that this guy is like this human library. He's just spouting these numbers off like he has them memorized. And she goes, yes, professor. And she goes running off to the building. And while you're waiting for her to return, he goes, any of you fancy yourself stargazers?
That's the wrong edition of Werewolf.
Does he that was an on-purpose comment. As he gestures to the sky.
I'm a little intrigued by what she's looking at, and I motion over to the lady who was muttering to herself earlier.
Oh, yeah. She's looking into rumors that our society have been discussing now for the past year or so, that some of the most distant stars seem to be going out.
Well, that's not good.
This is, yes. As beings that aspire to live forever, we would be foolish to not pay attention to things that may impact us cosmically. It is difficult to live forever if you do not have a planet to live on. So sometimes we make a point to look at the bigger picture. But yes, we have been able to share information with fellow members of our society that a few stars, not many, but a few stars have been apparently going dark, we, as of yet, have not hypothesized a reason. So that is why we are trying to gather more information on this. But please, don't worry yourselves about that. It is
Stars,
it's not your people's.
Stars
Yes,
are
sir.
really big, right?
Yes, stars are gigantic, usually.
I don't know if we could deal with something that eclipses stars.
Yeah, that's why I said not to worry about it. Don't worry about
And
it.
I say this as someone who just beat up a Hydra.
Yeah. No concern of yours. Unless it is, it might be too late at that point.
I don't know about you, but I don't have any interest in going into space, so.
I mean, I have a little interest of going to space, but there's no point if I can't kill it.
We are tracking it. We have people that we can call in case we need to call people. No offense, we won't call you.
It could be a spirit or something, I guess.
Unless
Big
we conclude it's a spirit, in which case we'll call you. But we're on it. And at this point, the TA comes running back, and she has 2 books with her. One is a dusty old tome. One appears to be in good condition, newer style moleskin journal. She goes, the books, Professor? He goes, of course, perfect. You never disappoint. Please lend these to our new friends. And she offers the books to Jim.
Okay, I'll take them.
Yep. The dusty old tome has writing on the side in Latin. Does Jim? Do you have academics?
2 dots.
Okay, go to make a int academics check just to see if you can quickly translate it.
Spend a little power for that, because why not? 4 successes.
Okay. You believe it loosely translates to encyclopedia, it translates to like the Threat Encyclopedia, Volume 3. So like this is probably some old scientist or supernatural experts catalog of bad things. Just like doing a quick look at the moleskin, the dates on this are from just like a decade or so ago. This is somebody's journal. So you'll have to look more in that while you're riding home.
It's the monster manual.
The first one is a little bit more of a monster manual. The second one seems to be somebody's journal. Okay. Professor O'Brien goes, anything else tonight, my friends? I would like to get in some stargazing, if you don't mind.
Of course. I appreciate your help on this. And again, if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know.
Of course. Good luck. And he goes and starts looking through a telescope. Okay. Is it time to head home?
Well, Spooky's putting the mask back on at least.
Okay. Okay. Let me note the books you've checked out of the Order of Dracula library. Okay, cool. Jim, while you guys are driving home, do you start thumbing through the books?
Don't see a reason not to get started now.
Okay. The encyclopedia is written in a combination of Latin and German. So that's a hard read to read while sitting shotgun. The journal is in English. The journal has it's written in black pen, modern style ink. And then there are notes in red that somebody has added later. At the very, very top of page 1, somebody has written in red the compiled notes of one John Doe, deceased, of the sworn. And as you read through, this seems to, before you get into a check, just at its base level, this seems to be a guy who is some sort of supernatural that joined a faction in a greater faction called the Sworn. And the faction he joined had to do with studying the contagion. And it's his stories of traveling around the world to different strains of the contagion. Now, if you want to give me a int academics check or an int occult check, your choice. I think you're better at occult.
I am.
Pick up more details. Pick up the finer details inside the book.
Ooh. 10 successes. I will take informed.
Okay. Occult is your check. You just need to find
Yes.
the gift that lets you shoot eye lasers with the dice pool occult.
Clearly.
Right. So, okay. The guy who wrote this journal was something called a sin eater. He does not spend a lot of time talking about himself. You do pick up from the reading that he, and you do not know, since this is literally the first time your character has heard anything about these supernaturals. You're not sure if this is unique to him. You're not sure if he is just insane, but he does sometimes make references in his journal to conversations with his partner / passenger. He uses the term Geist a few times for this partner / passenger. But the way he describes it, this is not something humanoid. This isn't like he's got a ghost friend. Like, my dead grandma talks to me. He describes the thing he talks to as having like strange geometric shapes, having strange motivations that don't seem to make any sense. You certainly do not get an occult spec in Geist or Sin Eaters out of this, but you become aware that they are a thing. And the faction of the Sworn he joined, I will get you the answer here. Actually, let's see if I have it handy. If I can pull it up quick enough, then I'll go ahead and just tell you now. Otherwise, I will tell you after the stream. Okay, cannot pull it up quick enough. You get the name of the faction he's part of. And the faction he's part of believes that the contagion, despite appearing to be chaotic, has a pattern to it. And that pattern is something beyond us, something of greater cosmic significance, trying to send a message. That there is a code in the contagion. And while he acknowledges the contagion needs cured, his faction is trying to decipher the meaning of it prior to curing it. Basically seeing it as a big Morse code signal that if you listen to it happens to kill you. So their faction is kind of secretly hoping that the world can listen to the code long enough to translate it and then stop listening. This apparently has led, according to details in the journal, to conflict with other factions within the Sworn. He does make reference by name, and I'll get you that name after the session, to the religious faction that feels that all of this happened because the supernatural community was too selfish and turned away from their duty given to them by a higher power. It doesn't seem to be specifically a Christian organization or a Catholic organization. He makes mention of members of a whole bunch of faiths, including ones that you haven't heard of, so they must be faiths unique to supernatural groups. But the point being that they believe they somehow have failed their responsibility to a god or gods, and the contagion is punishment. And so they need to purify the contagion out of the world in order to be right again with their creators. And that group is not big fans of the group this guy was part of. This guy is like, can I take notes while you purify? And they're more of the, you should help toss gasoline on the fire, you lazy assholes. You get that he traveled to 3 different outbreak sites. He went to a barely contained outbreak in San Francisco, where about 100 people that died didn't. They were reported dead on the slab, and they just kind of woke up the next day as if they had, you know, a bad hangover. They drank too much and passed out. And notes on the contagion there is that if you were infected, you could literally never die. What they ended up having to do with these hundreds so they wouldn't spread it to anybody else is the Sworn basically had to go hide them away in laboratories and basically seal them up away from people until they can find a way to cure them. Another one that he looked into, there's apparently a bureaucratic government agency that's not officially affiliated with the government of Argentina, but apparently they have discovered that there's a stone that anybody who touches the stone gets infected and starts mutating. And they are using the stone to run experiments. And the Sworn was trying to break down their plans, and he was there. And apparently, this is something interesting. He apparently died in that encounter. His journal stops with entries for a couple weeks, and then he just picks up as if everything was fine. And the final one that's noted is he did not personally go. but this is an entry from just a couple months ago, which makes you really wonder how the Ordo got this. But just from a couple months ago, talking about how the religious group is going to be charging down to an Antarctic research station, and he has sketches of things he saw in video footage from there. And it looks like most of the scientists have mutated into rolling balls of flesh. Just masses of flesh that are kind of just flopping around like a blob with flesh tendrils.
As you do.
As you do when you're in Antarctica. So yeah. And then like his notes just drop off. It talks about how, you know, he's kind of made friendly working relationships with the religious group and that they were heading off to Antarctica. And that was a couple months ago, and then his notes just drop off. There is a note at the end in red said, this arrived in the mail, and the date on it is from 1 month ago. And yeah. And the person who makes that note doesn't seem to know who sent it to them.
Interesting.
Yep. So yeah. Okay. So anything else on the ride back to the farm?
Can't think of anything.
Okay. Just making notes that you could get from the journal. Okay. Cool. So you guys get back to the farm with no problem. There was no major issue while you were gone. Fisher, upon you guys coming up, parking, he does that faraway look where he's clearly seeing things you don't see. He's like, other than all those wounds, there's something wrong with a lot of you. And it's not all the same wrong.
We will fill him in.
Okay. He says he will set to researching the best he can. He has some friends that are higher up in his particular organization that might be able to help him get some information. He takes a look at Jim and Spooky and Chloe, and he's like, I have a feeling that whatever you were fighting made you resistant to my healing. It's like,
That's a problem.
yeah, and he's like, so I'm going to monitor you, but I don't know if I can quickly patch up all your injuries like I did the last time.
Well, try not to get any more. Fortunately, Garu took care of it before that thing ran away. But
yeah. So yeah. So he will be splitting his time between monitoring the health of mostly Spooky, because Spooky's the one that got to ag. And while Chloe and Jim are infected with the double healing duration, they only had lethal. So werewolves heal lethal relatively fast. So
also, I was in Garu at the time it ran, so
Oh.
I would have healed off all of it anyway.
Okay, cool. So I will just mark you off then. Chloe did not take a lot of damage, so Chloe actually over the day has healed up. Fisher would still note that like he can kind of see in you that you have a similar thing preventing you from being easily healed. How much ag did Spooky have?
He was sitting at 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Fisher, while experimenting, can manage to get one of those ag to go away. So you're down to 2. So, but like it exerts him. Like he doesn't seem damaged by it, but you can tell like he would either have to push himself to the point where he's damaged to heal more, or it's beyond his ability at this point. So, all right. So, if nobody objects, I'm going to wrap up here soon, and I'm going to have a little bit of time move forward, since it's going to be at least a couple days before you hear from particular faith healers. Over the next 3 days, other than giving me another check in a minute, does anybody do anything of note? Do you check on anything of importance?
I want to go return those bones.
Give me good dog. Give me a dex stealth check just to make sure you can do it without anything being noticed.
Ah. 3 successes, but I'm going to go ahead and use an inspired to make that an exceptional success.
Good deal. You successfully return all the Saint bones.
Right.
And the notes that I owe you bones were all still there. So the bones were only gone for like a week and a half. And in that time, the priest did not go and check. So
They've
Did
been
they
like
know that
sharpened
they're-
now, so they look a little different.
Weird. It'll be weird when they do check.
Yeah, and like one of them is just a bunch of pieces of bone at this point. Whoops.
Now, in all fairness, the one that's just a bunch of pieces of bone is the least suspicious, because the priest will write that off as kids getting in things they should be respectful of.
Right.
Right. They'll find the sharpened ones weird.
I do want to have someone check in on how things are going with the Smiths and both of their current predicaments, and then also check in on the Billings farm, but I cannot physically go do that. So
You can just talk to the farmhand members of your pack. The Billings farm is going just fine. Things are, life is growing there. Plants around, the farmhands will make note that plants around the drinking area are sprouting. So whatever was poisoning the water hole, as Woody would say, has apparently reversed. Livestock's doing great. Everything seems to be going fine. The Smith farm is having issues. Several of the grandchildren, specifically the ones that were brothers and sisters of Eric, have decided that the law enforcement isn't doing enough and are doing their own search. They have left the area. Ma Smith is very stressed about it. They have left the area to hit all the different spots that they could think that Eric ever hangs out. So like places where he would go hunting, dormitories of friends of his that are off in college. And then on top of that, while you guys did get Pa Smith, a great lawyer, Evidence has got out on the internet that he may have been more involved than you originally believed.
But that happened.
I can't imagine where that could have come from.
And some of us are none the wiser.
Because things like this often are slow. I mean, he's not being accused of murder. So he isn't like a top priority. We've got to get this man off the streets. But in a couple months, he will be having a trial. So you'll have to see where that goes. But that's a ways off. Does Spooky do anything during like this 2-3 day fast forward?
He'll check in with the fetish crafter to see if he can get an upgrade in the weapon department while he's stuck without using tooth and claw.
Fair.
I will also see what we can fashion for some arrows and a knife.
Cool. Okay. Let's see. With the supplies that you got off of the Hydra, he can use. He presents a couple options. He can make a sword that is reinforced to the point that nothing short of supernatural damage could break it. So he could like infuse some of the Hydra scales into the blade. So there's like no chance of you going, I'll take the botch. Okay, your blade breaks. I take the botch, you drop the blade. But it's still there. So that's the mechanics he could do. He can make your sword immune to botch break. He can, as far as a knife, he can take one of the smaller teeth or the tip of one of the bigger ones and fashion it into a knife. It would basically have what is your base damage on your bite when you're in Garu?
I think that's like, isn't it +2? Yeah,
lethal +2?
Yeah.
So it would be the equivalent of a Garu bite. So it would be a lethal +2 dagger, which I want to say knives are usually a +1.
Yeah.
So a damn good knife. He could do that for you. The crafting things that you've provided don't easily turn into arrowheads. He can just make you arrowheads. Like if you want a narrative justification for why you have more arrows, he would make you arrows.
Instead of a knife, would he be able to do something akin to the gauntlets that we had before, or maybe like not brass knuckles but brass knuckles? That way, it's using brawl still instead of weaponry.
Yeah. If you, and I'm hand waving how many teeth you guys dentistryed out of this thing's mouth. If you're willing to kill all of your personal supply, Uncle Ben, he can make you like a brass knuckle, like those spiked brass knuckles, except each spike is the tip of the thing's teeth.
Okay.
So it would be brass knuckles that would do +2 lethal.
That'll work.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
Making the sword do more damage. I want to say swords already do +2 or +3.
Yeah, it just depends on which kind.
How big it is.
It's a big sword, so like it's like already +3.
Do you want a cloud-sized sword?
Yeah, he can do the thing.
I
where
mean,
it's
yes.
right. He can do the thing that's reinforced. He can.
Honestly, the reinforced thing is kind of the cooler thing for that. Then it's just being made of bone.
Yeah. Well, the sword's made out of metal, so what he's doing is he is reforging the spine up the middle with the Hydra scales essentially the sword has armor, is what it would come down to.
More durability.
Right. That's mechanically what it is it has enough durability that it doesn't make narrative sense for it to just break in a sword fight. But like an asshole matter mage could come in and go.
Well, okay, not mages are unfair standard.
Right, it's unfair standard. A asshole. I think there's a vampire thing where your blood is acidy. Right. But anyways, so he did anybody grab an eye? No.
I mean,
Not
Did it
really.
have scales?
yes, it had scales.
I would have taken some scales because I need better armor.
I mean,
Okay.
if I thought the eye would do something interesting, I might have.
Yeah. You had no immediate way of knowing if it would do anything interesting. So he can also craft. So all of these craft requests are going to take like a week, but he'll get going on them like now. But yeah, he can make you armor, James. I mean, you will want to wear like a coat over it because he's making you Hydra scale mail.
It's dragon scale armor.
It's dragon scale armor, basically. So unless you are going to a like Skyrim or Dragon Age,
I'm just gonna cosplay all the time now.
like, yeah.
Everywhere we go.
So yeah. Okay. And then Jim, during that time, are you probably trying to translate out of the thread encyclopedia?
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna make you do academics on this one because you don't speak Latin or German, right?
I don't know. I'm not sure how additional language specs are picked up in this system.
You buy there's a merit.
Okay, then no, I don't.
Yeah.
All right, so I will use the spirit. I will use my fetish. I will use a sort of translation dictionaries.
Some
Sure.
coffee.
And coffee. And sure. So give yourself like between all that stuff, give yourself like a +5. So you've got like a nice bonus stack.
So there's that. Fetish is +3. Might as well road action on this because why not?
Right.
Six successes.
Nice.
I'll take inspired on the contagion since I already have informed.
Okay. So that unlocks you being able to do your occult check that you're so awesome at. So if you were to botch that check, you just can't translate any useful information. So now go to make your really cool big pool occult check with your bonuses for coffee and your knowledge spirit and that stuff.
And do the books count as equipment bonus?
Not in this situation, I'm going to say, because the challenge is understanding the book.
Okay. For successes, I will upgrade that to an exceptional by spending one of my many informs.
Sure. Okay. So you are able to, over the 3-ish or more days that are passing, you are able to make notes. Like you basically open this book up and you don't want to write in somebody else's book. And so you've got like your own notepad or your laptop and you're taking notes. And you are able to roughly identify what the threats are in this book. And the vast majority of them are curiosities that go way over your head. So since I don't have like 80 different threats off the top of my head. Just ask me in the future if would I get a bonus to this check because it happened to be in that book.
Fair enough.
But things that do stick out. The book starts on G, and it has a massive section on something called the God Machine. And it reads like a madman who has a degree in like advanced computer engineering talking about the universe. According to the writings in this section, written by whoever the hell wrote this, the universe is either a simulation, like he doesn't use the word simulation, but like a illusion, a dream of a giant deity device, or we are all living in the space in between the mechanisms of this great device. This great device is so massive, so large, so unknowing that we are fleas on the foot of this thing. We cannot possibly see it from our perspective. The universe exists on its skin, and we are just seeing its outside. And it is mad ramblings. But the useful information you get out of it is that somewhere, somehow, and that writer has no idea, this great thing essentially caught a cold. And when something that big and massive gets sick, when it coughs, it shakes all of the world. When it sneezes, it rains its putrid mucus and germs down upon all of our heads. When it throws up, it floods nations. And the author goes on to explain that this manifests as many different strains of sickness. This particular author never uses the word contagion, but you know that's what he's talking about. And he goes on and explains dozens of manifestations that are drastically different. Some of which are so horrible, it makes you nervous that they ever existed on the same planet you're on. Some of them, for a second while you're reading it, you're almost like, this is a bad thing? I mean, being infected with the ability to do that and that doesn't sound like a bad thing to me. But yeah. And then the part that's important is he does a breakdown of the factions that have united to battle this sickness. And he makes nods to factions that are using the sickness or see the sickness as a welcomed end of the world. And he calls those factions the false, but he doesn't go into specifics about them. Translated, once we're over in a minute, I will send you, in case you don't have it, a list of all the sworn factions.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah. Okay, so for the final thing, Sarah is not here. At some point during this time, Chloe might have shaken off her infection. We will have to hand wave and retro game. We will have her do that check before next game or at next game. And if she happens to be cured of the infection, we can say she comes and goes, yay, I'm cured of the infection. But Spooky and Uncle Ben during this time, at the 3-day point after being first infected, make me another resolve stamina at a -5. And this is a pass-fail, unless you get a dramatic failure or get an exceptional success.
Can we spend willpower on this?
Yes.
Sweet. Okay, you should probably do that. That turned
He
into
loves
not
his
a good die.
mutations. They're so useful.
That's another fail.
One success.
One success. Okay. So Uncle Ben gets a pass, and Spooky gets a fail. Was it a normal fail or a dramatic?
Normal.
Normal. Okay. So
I'm at one pass, one fail.
no. Spooky's at a fail. The initial check doesn't count as a fail. The initial
Okay.
check is a did you get infected at all?
Okay. Oh no, because I had one change after that because I had to shift.
Shifting, you guys now realize that shifting speeds up the infection.
Okay.
So unless you tell me otherwise, you have spent these 3 days in near man form.
That is what I have done.
Spooky at the 3-day point. Let's see, something.
Something awful.
Something awful. So Spooky is sitting here missing changing into the wolf form, missing running around, missing the speed. And at the 3-day point, Spooky begins to grow another pair of functioning legs out of his midsection, and his spine begins to elongate. By the end of the 3rd day, the legs are down to the ground and functioning, and Spooky looks like a twisted centaur. Like one of your pack, so they're in the know, like farmhands, like see Spooky in the barn like this, and even though they're in the know, is like, I have some crops to tend to.
Everything is fine.
Spooky, go ahead and have a +2 to initiative and +2 to speed. But
Sweet.
you have 2 additional legs. We can discuss next session if you have 6 legs when you're in a wolf form. Spider. Okay, guys. Well, that was today's game. Thank you all for joining. Thank anybody that watches this in the future. John, what were your thoughts on the session?
All right then. Mutations.
Okay. Jeremy, Centaur Man, what?
Everything's fine. Don't see any problems. It's smooth sailing from here on out.
So, Dennis, thoughts?
You already know we're incredibly accommodating. It's weird how everybody says so many mean things about them.
Hey, they're just men and women of science. Hey, Ender, thoughts?
Fuck. Just all encompassing right there.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Good. We're only in debt to the Ordo. What's the worst that could happen?
okay. Well, thanks again, and I will see you next week. Everybody, be safe. Bye.